Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, obviously enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. Tonight is Thursday, May 28th, 2026. Hey, at least I got the year right. This is live stream 1328. Well, obviously enough, as you can see, this isn't all that serious around here. No, we're just hanging out, having some fun, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news. And then I will usually tackle a topic related to our hobby, which I will be doing tonight. But we are certainly not engaged in anything strenuous like rocket surgery. That's for sure. Now, of course, I do want to mention when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Pete Strakulich is with us, as is Keith Ulhu, Mike from Utah, Velimir Cleaver, our good friend of the show and chat moderator, the Madman, is hanging with the gang, as is Michael Berry, Kevin King, Kevin R. Smith. Agile Monk is also popping on in, another good friend of the show, and Newsmaker. Stay tuned for that. So welcome, everybody. So I do want to mention, before we jump on in, you may have noticed last night during the live stream, I was wearing my Cubs hat because I had a feeling that the Cubs were going to break that 10-game losing streak, and they did. Hopefully they don't start a new losing streak against one of the best pitchers in baseball tonight, Paul Skeens. But last I looked, they were up 1-0 in the fifth. Not much of a lead, I'll tell you that much. And sadly, our good friend, the Madman, is a Tigers fan, going through some of the same problems the Cubs have gone through, like loads and loads of injuries to really important pieces of the team. As far as the Cubs go, it's all been pitching for the most part. But yeah, Tigers getting hit with just a wave of really bad injuries. See what happens. Kevin R. Smith is wondering if there's something I'm going to talk about tonight. Maybe. I don't know. There's a certain topic that he's curious I might tackle. We shall soon see, because you know what? Let's jump on into the news, because our good friend of the show, Agile Monk, and Fantasy Companion Workshops have rolled out a Kickstarter project to fund a couple of fantasy gaming supplements, as well as a slew of adventures. And I've got the scoop on Wondrous and Dangerous Consortiums and the Zendria World Setting and Lore Guide. What is Wondrous and Dangerous Consortiums? Approximately 200 pages of carefully curated content to provide depth of study and novelty for use in your world building. An in-depth system and tool set for creating your own consortiums. In the realm of tabletop role-playing games, the ultimate objective is to immerse players in a vibrant and engaging narrative. As a game master, your task extends beyond crafting intricate plots and settings. It encompasses creating a world that players can interact with meaningfully. This involves recognizing the profound impact that well-developed consortiums can have on the overall gaming experience and how closely tied they ought to be to player engagement. Wondrous and Dangerous Consortiums will give you 4 pillars to help you shape the foundations of your organizations. 7 articulately defined types of consortiums to help categorize the powers that be, over 30 dimensions to help cement the boundaries and elements, 19 highly detailed tables providing clear ways to differentiate your institutes, and 14 example consortiums, fleshed out and ready to use in your world or to help you create your own ideas. So what is the Zendria world setting and lore guide? Well, Zendria is a hegemonic fantasy setting, a living world where old and new fantasy collide, highlighting the organic interactions of the various consortiums and their power structures. Zendria is a place where you can tell your stories from many perspectives and support many ideologies, as they are all alive and driving this vast and diverse setting. A place for your player-driven adventures to come alive. The right choice isn't always clear. How will your choices change the landscape? Zendria has been in turmoil for almost a millennium, since the old unified empire was shattered after its war with the mighty dragons. After that time, Zendria's 3 continents have largely been divided, their cities and towns points of light against the darkness of the wilderness and the creatures that lurk there. Today, this disunity continues. The continents, Belindria, Karsten, and Valsteel, taking a guess on those pronunciations, gang, are split into city-states with a handful of settlements standing above the rest, trying to forge them into something greater. Everywhere, there is danger. Orcs and giants march to war. Powers from deep under the earth marshal their forces to strike against the sunlit land above. The destroyer deities plot from their prisons, while adventurous scholars seek to solve the great mysteries of Zendria in lands like the Sanguine Peaks, Sanguine Peaks, and the dwarves move to reclaim their lost holds. In the midst of all this, civilization endures. Great settlements hold back the darkness and send out their soldiers, clashing with each other and with the dangers around them. And all throughout Zendria, portals have opened in the past few decades, pathways to other worlds entirely. Now, this Kickstarter project just launched on Tuesday. It is past the 60% funding mark. You can reserve copies of both books in hardcover with PDFs for a pledge of $80. If you want to score the PDFs alone, you can do so for both of those with a $42 pledge through June 25th. Now, of course, there is a whole lot of other things going on with this Kickstarter project as well. So by all means, take a peek. Now, expected fulfillment is going to be pretty quick on this. It is slated to ship in December. Pretty sweet. Pretty nice. Now, I do want to point out I am showing Kickstarter as a web address. If you want to go find the Kickstarter super easy, just go to thegaminggang.com. You will see a big banner ad up top. Click on that. That'll take you right to the Kickstarter. Very nice. So there you go, Kevin R. Smith. I am sharing the news. I should also mention, in case you didn't know this, I shared a preview video of the consortium's book. I think it's about 13 minutes long, if I remember correctly. I share my thoughts about it. It's a review without being a review, because it's not the finished product. I can't give it a review score, but I do talk about what I found inside and what I thought. So very nice. As you can see, this has a very, very cool look. All right. Agile Monk said those were good pronunciations. Okay, cool. Yeah, I tried. I was trying. Let's see. Harvey Chuckles, Danny Gable, Shozama85, and Kathy Evans have joined us in chat. Welcome aboard, everyone. I see J-Man is also joining us once again. So we have got a nice chat rocking and rolling already. So let's keep moving right on with the news, because now available in print from Modiphius Entertainment is the latest adventure campaign for Achtung Cthulhu 2D20. And I've got the latest on the Norway Project. Ski, snow, and the hunt for a Nazi superweapon. It is late 1942 and the tide of war begins to turn against Germany. Desperate for a breakthrough, the Nazi high command turns to the emerging field of atomic weapons, placing their hopes in the Norwegian heavy water plant at Vimork. Norway becomes a key battleground in the race to prevent the Nazis developing an atomic bomb as the Allies launch Operations Grouse, Freshman, and Gunnerside. Yet Mina Wolf, head of Nachtwolf, has little patience for conventional science. Instead, she turns to a darker source, a little-known Norwegian cult called the Flock of the Allfather, whose arcane knowledge may unlock a new generation of atomic Wunderwaffe. What begins as a simple mission to rescue captured resistance fighters quickly escalates into a desperate race against time. Section M's newest team of agents must uncover a vast conspiracy that threatens to rain atomic fire upon Allied cities. With the coldest of fronts rapidly heating up, can your agents foil Nachtwolf's twisted ambitions, neutralize the Flock's eldritch magics, and prevent the summoning of the Demon Sultan himself, Azathoth? The 156-page full-color hardcover features the complete guide to Norway with new weapons, vehicles, and equipment, an epic 3-part campaign featuring 9 linked missions across the Norwegian front, art, maps, and handouts to bring this huge campaign to life with a free digital map pack. Plus, it introduces a sinister new cult, the Flock of the Allfather, plus the terrifying spellbook of Azathoth. The stakes couldn't be higher. Can your agents stop a plot to end the war in atomic horror? This does require the Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 core rulebooks in order to run. The 156-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $54.99. If you want to score just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $34. Nice. I seem to recall, maybe it was Kevin R. Smith who mentioned this, I think it was last week, that Modiphius Entertainment is kind of taking a break from Achtung Cthulhu 2D20. So I believe whatever they've released in PDF that's already slated for a physical edition, such as the Norway Project, is going forward. I think after that, there is going to be, I think the term that was used was a pause. But I do also have to point out, there is a lot of Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 content out there. So don't let the pause, or whatever they want to call it, dissuade you from checking this out if you are interested in Achtung Cthulhu. All right, moving right along. Another stunning bundle is on offer over at Fanatical, and I've got the skinny on the Mutant Crawl Classics RPG Bundle. Venture into the irradiated wastelands with the Mutant Crawl Classics RPG Bundle. This collection is packed full of adventures, sourcebooks, crawling with mutants, and interdimensional chaos. Mutant Crawl Classics is built on the award-winning Dungeon Crawl Classics engine, throwing players into a far future world where lost technology is indistinguishable from magic. Strange mutations shape survival, and every ruin hides impossible dangers from humanity's forgotten past. Tier 1 is the perfect place to start your journey into the radioactive unknown with essential tools and introductory adventures. Tier 2 lets you expand your games with the core rulebook and a collection of adventures, settings, and supplements to equip you for what the wastelands can throw at you. Tier 3 unlocks the full 42 product collection of high-octane post-apocalyptic adventures where you can scavenge ancient megastructures, battle rogue AIs through dozens of adventures and supplements with the wild creativity, deadly danger, and unpredictable fun that defines Mutant Crawl Classics. Are you ready for what awaits you in the wastelands and the ruins? Collect your copy today and get crawling. You can jump aboard this bundle for as little as $1. I'd buy that for $1. You can go all in and secure all 42 PDFs, which are on offer for $17.95. As mentioned, this is a rocking deal. These savings will run through July 16th, so you've got time to take advantage. All products are redeemed through Drive-Thru RPG and must be claimed by May 1st, 2027. And I am going to point out, this bundle is tonight's giveaway. That's right. I am actually going to give away 2 copies of this bundle. So one will be for a live viewer this evening. So once we wrap up the news, I will share a trivia question. First person to get that trivia question correct is going to be the winner. And I will also have a giveaway for those who are unable to watch live or those who were watching live and didn't win. All you'll have to do there is simply leave a comment on the video and I will randomly select one of those comments and they will win the other bundle. So there you go. Very nice. Very nice. On to our next news piece. Now in stores from my friends over at Kobold Press is the Creature Codex Revised, and I've got the lowdown. The infamous bestiary resurrected. From within an ancient vault, a tome of horrors, dungeon dwellers, and even stranger foes emerges for another round against your unsuspecting party. Creature Codex Revised brings Kobold Press's classic monsters into the 2024 edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Within its pages, you'll find updated stat blocks and abilities for over 400 deadly enemies. Wage war against the living with an army of the undead, including ghost dragons, grave behemoths, and zombie lords. Unleash unearthly beings like the bizarre Ahu Nixta, flying polyps, and the Canophage. Canophage? Arcanophage? Let's go with that. Arcanophage. Challenge your heroes with the might of void dragons, desert trolls, and a host of demons and devils. These and many other adversaries await your players in Creature Codex Revised. The 416-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $59.99. If you want to bundle it with the PDF, you can do so for $69.99. And if you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $39.99. I will also mention, very recently, I have started to see Kobold Press physical books available through Drive-Thru RPG. So normally, if you wanted the physical book with the PDF, you would order from Kobold Press. In fact, I have affiliate code for Kobold Press because I am an affiliate of the company. But I have also noticed this, and I'm trying to remember what I think it was the Northlands. I think it's the Northlands World book. You can also do the same thing. Order the physical book through Drive-Thru RPG. Kind of wild. And I should point out, I have reviewed the previous Creature Codex, and I will be reviewing the Creature Codex Revised as well. Because, once again, my friends over at Kobold Press just sent me a copy. Very nice. Very nice. Let's see. The Tabletop Scholar and Retired on a Bike have both popped in. I see Witchlight is with us once again, talking about Dungeon Crawl Classics. Dungeon Crawl Classics I have found it to be a blast. Some people don't like the funnel adventures. I can understand why some people don't enjoy them. Mutant Crawl Classics, I wish we'd get a new core book that was a little more fleshed out. The only issue I have with Mutant Crawl Classics is it doesn't feel as complete, the core book, as Dungeon Crawl Classics. But a lot of fun. If you're looking for a gonzo later edition Gamma World sort of role-playing game, that is it. Because I don't think a lot of people out there realize that the first edition of Gamma World wasn't that gonzo. It was science fiction. There were mutations and stuff, but it wasn't like kind of really off the wall like it eventually got to be. Let's talk about my final news piece, because the Traveler Vehicle Catalog is now available from Mongoose Publishing, and I've got the latest. Welcome to the Vehicle Catalog, featuring vehicles from across the universe. Travelers move between worlds with spaceships, but once they arrive, they rarely move across a world's surface, skies, and seas using the same vessels designed to travel to the stars and to other worlds. Whether you find yourself on a primitive world where muscle and wind provide a vehicle's power, or on an advanced world with teeming megacities up in the sky and beneath the waves, you will find a need to use some sort of vehicle to move from one place of adventure to another. The vehicles in this catalog are mostly vehicles a traveler may use or encounter while on a world, or vehicles from various charted space civilizations they might encounter. These include personal vehicles. These might be owned or operated by travelers and range from cheap mass-produced vehicles to those affordable only to the super rich. Commercial vehicles. These are designed for commercial use and will usually be owned by governments, corporations, or other organizations. Military vehicles. These are intended for warfare and defense. Usually they're owned and operated by a government authority. And then we have vehicles of the major races and human civilizations of charted space, ranging from enigmatic droid machines to Zodani military transports. Certain vehicles are generally encountered in association with their parent civilization, but sometimes these vehicles might be found far from their point of origin, or operated by travelers or others who have acquired these craft by various means. All of these vehicles were created using the Vehicle Handbook Update 2026 construction rules. Some of these vehicles are reimagined versions of vehicles created using earlier rules, but many are completely new designs. The over 100 vehicles in this book are only a small fraction of the vehicles of the universe, but this catalog can be used as inspiration for creating designs and variations for use in any universe. You can pre-order the 112-page Vehicle Catalog hardcover with PDF for an MSRP of $49.99. It does have a ship date of July. That's why I'm saying it's a pre-order. If you want to grab the PDF right now by itself, you certainly can. It is available over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Always good to see new Traveler releases from Mongoose Publishing. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Dungeon Masters Guild, Storytellers Vault, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our sidebar ads, and if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of most of those sales as a commission, and those commissions really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. If you're watching live and taking part in chat, by all means, be sure to hit the little heart or 100 or whatever you'd like to give a little shout out with to show a little engagement. And of course, if you're watching on a mobile device and you have some hype points left, feel free to sprinkle a few little hype points on the video. Every little bit helps. It really, really does. And of course, if you enjoy the Gaming Gang, if you find the outlet to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are also a couple other ways that you can support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Wunderbar. Yum, yum, yum. And you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links down in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It is absolutely free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. And then, of course, during the live streams, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a tip of the cap to Ben Oathwaite, Kubal, Kevin R. Smith, Talzek, Peaceful Porcupine, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman, Gustavo Cavallo, The Tabletop Scholar, Kevin King, Game Cat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Far Adrift, Pete Strakulich, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, The Madman, and Flint Fireforge. Thank you very, very kindly for supporting the Gaming Gang by way of our Patreon. Hooray! So tonight's topic I'm going to tackle is there is some grumbling kind of floating around. It's on social media that Paizo Inc. is in financial straits. And I can't possibly imagine this being true. And I'm going to discuss that because I honestly believe that the individuals who started to spread this rumor know it's not true. And it's just kind of a way for them to kind of drag down Paizo Inc. And we are going to talk about that in just a little bit. But before we do, a few things I wanted to mention. I started watching Spider Noir. I'm 4 episodes through it, and I'm sort of like, nah. I mean, Nicolas Cage is fine, but the action scenes aren't very exciting. And now there's a weird romance that it's like, who wrote the screenplay here? Harvey Weinstein? Because, you know, Nicolas Cage is in his 60s. And there's this romance that starts, and the actress has to be tops mid-30s. Just, I don't know. And yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's weird because I saw like various different critics all saying, oh man, it's awesome. It's excellent. I don't know about that. I will say that there is a show that all the critics are digging on that I do agree with, and that's Widow's Bay. That now I have 3 episodes to catch up on, but man, I've been really enjoying that. And it what people are saying about it being, you know, the Stephen King series that Stephen King didn't write is like so on the money. It really feels like it's a Stephen King miniseries, but Stephen King had nothing to do with it. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed that. It's pretty wild. All right, so let's see. A few more people popping on into chat. Let's see, Klontos is with us. Wallona's Cave has joined us. Little Britain's back again. Craig McBriarty has popped on in. I believe it might be a first-time visit for Craig, so welcome aboard. I just don't happen to recognize the name. So make yourself comfortable. Velimir Cleaver says Lisa Stevens is one of the most well-off individuals directly involved in the tabletop role-playing game industry. We're gonna talk. So I think I've said hello to everyone in chat. Fingers crossed. You know me. I always try to say hi when people pop on in. So tonight's topic, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about how the rumors of Paizo Inc. and their financial straits, I do believe, are far from the truth. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
It's cause for celebration. Now you can enjoy a real taste thrill right here. Yes, it's the all-American favorite, hamburgers, prepared from selected choice beef. A feast in itself. Charbroiled to give you that cooked outdoors taste. Hot and ready to serve you right now. Cooked just right. Goodness you can see and taste.
Come and get 'em!
Yes, come and get 'em. Better make tracks right now to the refreshment stand. There's one waiting for you. Any age is the right age for a hamburger. You want more? Well, it looks like fun burger time. And for that extra taste treat, top it with the goodness of golden mellow cheese. A cheeseburger, put together just the way you like it. A man-sized meal everybody enjoys.
Come and get 'em!
The meat brown spaghetti you can eat with a spoon. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. The neat little meatball that'll fit on your spoon. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
It's the greatest invention since the napkin.
Franco-American. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Butter. Butter.
Parquet. Margarine. The big 1-pound bowl.
Butter.
Parquet. I use the bowls for leftovers and things.
Butter.
Parquet. Mmm. Light. Creamy. Butter.
Parquet.
Isn't that what I said?
Parquet margarine in the 1-pound bowl from Kraft. The flavor says butter.
Wilkins Instant Coffee soothes the headaches of life. I don't have any headaches. Care for cream and sugar?
Don't. Don't dare. Don't dare stare. Don't dare stare at the man, the illustrated man.
I'd be a freak.
You'd be beautiful.
I would not be beautiful. I would be a freak.
No, Carl, you'll be something special. You'll be beautiful. You'll matter.
These damn things don't come off. I'm half a freak now.
Let me finish.
You're not gonna finish nothing. Did you let me touch you for 1 second? You did not. What do you think I am, some kind of stupid animal or something?
She was the one who set him apart, made him different, unique. The only thing of his kind, like no other man. The illustrated man.
Where the lions live.
Right there. Well, I was the one that said it. Oh, yeah, right there where the lions live, down in Africa.
Colonel, you don't know where we are any more than we do. Why the hell are we following you?
You listen to me. 4 of us got out of that wreckage alive. Alive! That means something. That's the big difference. That means we got a chance to survive. And there's 120 sun domes scattered over 11 continents on this stinking planet. And if we find one sun dome, we've made it. We came through. We survived.
She was the one who sent him out on the strangest odyssey ever ventured. To explore the ends of the universe. To travel to the end of time. And through it all, he carries one all-consuming goal.
And I'm looking for the lady that lives in it. And when I find her, I will kill her.
If you're ever curious about the true meaning of an actor chewing the scenery, may I recommend you watch The Illustrated Man. I love that book. I love the stories in The Illustrated Man. There are some fantastic old-time radio shows that were made from the stories in The Illustrated Man. Damn it, man. Rod Steiger is just so over the top. Almost every single scene of that movie. And it's a huge distraction. It really is. It really is. That's how much says Steiger at his best. Oh my gosh. If you've ever seen the movie Waterloo, where Rod Steiger plays Napoleon, and I really love that movie, but he chews some scenery in that too. Oh, nothing like The Illustrated Man. Nothing like it. And it's too bad because the stories that are adapted are actually pretty good. They are pretty good. Anyway, Valimir Cleaver says they would say Jeremy Irons in the 2001 D&D movie. Not even close. Not even close. Tessie Trekkie says, does he top Brian Blessed? Okay, that's coming close. But I still think Steiger outchews. I really do think so. Harvey Chuckles said they watched The Martian Chronicles starring Rock Hudson a few weeks ago. Nice. Very cool. I remember watching that when it came out and being like, Kolchak's in it. Yeah, he's pretty high billing on that too. But yeah, just not a great adaptation. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. My favorite part is the first Expedition to Mars, which is based on the short story Mars's Heaven. And if you want to hear a good, spooky science fiction tale, check out, I want to say it's Dimension X. I think it's probably around 1960. The radio show Dimension X did Mars's Heaven. Top-notch, really good stuff. All right. So tonight's topic, let's talk. And as with most of the topics here on the show, it's just kind of stream of consciousness sort of thing. So the other day, unfortunately, I'm on X. And because it's kind of a necessary evil for the gaming gang, because it's one of the ways that we get the news pieces out and stuff like that. And for whatever reason, in my feed, I saw a posting, and I'm not going to say who it was, but it was someone who presents themselves as, like a gaming, I don't want to say authority, but, someone like me, right? They provide gaming information, stuff like that. So it's talking about how Paizo Inc. canceled PaizoCon 2026 and how that That must obviously mean that Paizo Inc. is in trouble. I'm thinking to myself, well, hold on, wait a second. Paizo canceled PaizoCon in February, didn't they? So I thought, oh, is this just something? Because somebody, and I don't even know why this popped up, because it was not from somebody I follow. And there were some responses to it, and they weren't from people that I follow. So I honestly have no clue why it popped up. Anyways, so I thought, oh, maybe this is something that's old, because I'll see from time to time somebody will repost a news piece of mine or a review or something, and it's months old. So I thought, oh, maybe that's it. So I looked, no, it was from that day. Like, okay. So then I noticed some of the responses, and all the there were some responses there, like the, go woke, go broke routine. And then I noticed there were other gaming personalities, I guess I'll say, role-playing game personalities, who are kind of repeating this throughout X. Not necessarily that Paizo Inc. was in trouble because they had canceled PaizoCon, but that Paizo is in financial trouble. I'm thinking, okay, so let me point out, there have been many times I have been misinformed, right? I'm misinformed more often than I care to, I don't want to say care to admit, because I'll admit it, but I'm misinformed more often than I would like. And usually it's because I go with release dates from a distributor when I can't get a release date from a publisher. And that's why sometimes when I'm doing a news piece, I'll tell you I've got conflicting information on release date. And one's telling me it's, June, the other's telling me just July. So that does happen from time to time. So being misinformed is one thing. Intentionally misinforming people, that is something else. And that is something that bugs me, because we see it in a lot of different things in this world now. And now we're starting to see it more and more in tabletop gaming, where it's sort of like, well, that's not true. See something, it's like, no, that's not what that podcast was about. Let's see. Boomerman Dan Webb has popped on into chat. Witchlight says Jeremy Irons in the D&D movie, not the new good one, is peak scenery chewing. Talking about The Room. I have never seen that, and it's like, nah, don't even want to. So anyway, so it seemed to me that it was a certain sort of role-playing aficionado who was perpetrating these rumors that just continued to float these rumors around. And the thing is, for one, I had actually commented on the original post that I ran across where it said, well, PaizoCon's been canceled. Paizo Inc. must be in, financial, they're in trouble. I did point out that I asked, I said, you do realize PaizoCon has been an online-only event since COVID. PaizoCon isn't a physical convention out in Seattle anymore. And Paizo Inc. had pointed out that they wanted to restructure it, because I had even heard from people over the past few years who had attended PaizoCon, which was absolutely free to attend, I believe. It wasn't like they were charging people to take part. That it wasn't all that great. It was just sort of like, it's all right. So I could completely understand Paizo Inc. sitting there and deciding, hey, you know what? Rather than investing time and energy and cost into something that just doesn't fly, let's take a break. Let's approach this from some other angles here and see if we can do something else, right? So anyway, as I said, I had commented back saying, well, you do realize this is online. And it's been so since COVID. So really not a big deal that they decided to cancel this back in February. So then somebody had commented, I mean, nobody was like an asshole or anything. Because I wasn't being a jerk. I was just kind of like, come on, it's sort of like, come on. So anyway, there was a comment to me talking about how, well, Paizo's in trouble because they're essentially only an online publisher now anyway. They are? Really? Online only? Anyway. So Witchlight says, Paizo Con's entirely online. Normally, it's not like they're booking a venue. Maybe they just don't want to deal with the hassle that is organizing a con. Yeah, and probably not go through the hassle of putting something together that people are just sort of like, it's all right. It was okay. We had fun playing, some online sessions, because I think that's pretty much all it is outside of some of the streams that they'll do. So like Eric Mona will do kind of like a state of Paizo sort of video for like 60 minutes or something like that. But the rest of it is essentially just, people playing games online. So I thought to myself, so here's the reality. So most of the people who were spreading this rumor on X, and that's really the only place I saw it, but I saw that it was kind of gaining traction. The majority of those people are old school grognards and very, very vocal about being old school grognards, to the point where some of them probably think that anything after original Dungeons and Dragons in the brown box is crap. And some of the follow-up to the rumors floating around is that, with the fall of Paizo, that's going to really open up opportunities for these OSR focused companies. Now, I love the old school Renaissance. I share news, I share reviews for all different companies. I'm not like, modern, it's only modern, it's all that's, no. I love all role-playing games. Some more than others, obviously enough, but I'm not in one particular camp, and I know that bothers some people. I know there are some folks out there who feel that I should focus strictly on one or the other, either modern RPGs or OSR RPGs that I straddle the fence. I don't look at it that way at all. I look at it as I promote our hobby because I love this hobby. And the main reason I love the hobby is for the people who are in it. So I'm not trying to, I'm not knocking the grognards about this. I understand where they come from. But I think it's really bizarre how some of these folks think that suddenly any role-playing game void is going to be filled by Adventure Conqueror King system. I got my friends over at Troll Lord Games, right? Castles and Crusades. People think, oh, that's going to slip on in and fill the void. Hyperborea, Swords and Wizardry, those sort of games, right? And it's like, no, that's never going to happen. And it's not a knock against those games or against their creators or the people who play those games. It's just not going to happen. So I'll give you a great example. Like I said, I don't have any inside dope about Paizo Inc. Tomorrow they could file bankruptcy and I'd be like, oh, well, okay, I guess I was wrong. Anything's possible, right? But I also understand that Paizo Inc. normally clears over $30 million in sales every year. That Pathfinder ends up normally in second place as far as sales of fantasy role-playing games, or just, let's say, role-playing games, period. Right? It's D&D, and it's been D&D since about 2014. Right? Remember, there was a period where Pathfinder outsold Dungeons and Dragons. That was 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition came along, got people back on board, and Wizards of the Coast hasn't looked back since. That's another thing that I kind of chuckle about, is when people are like, oh, yeah, Wizards of the Coast, they're going broke. Every role-playing game publisher out there wishes they were as broke as Wizards of the Coast. Anyway, there was a point when Pathfinder, 1st edition Pathfinder, outsold D&D in game stores, right? I don't know outside of that, because one thing you have to keep in mind also is Paizo Inc. is privately owned. They do not have to reveal any of their financials because they're not a publicly held company, so that's fine. But it is my understanding that year in, year out, over the past at least 5 years, Paizo Inc. has cleared $30 million in sales. Now, I'm not saying in profit, I'm saying in sales, and we do understand that role-playing games has a pretty slim margin. That's why people think, oh, wow, you know, somebody creates a popular role-playing game, whoa, they're going to get rich. Not really. It is, you know, if you're selling millions of units, well, sure. So the thing that I have to really point out, and once again, I don't mean any disrespect towards anyone when I say this, but I can pretty much guarantee you Adventure Conqueror King system, Swords and Wizardry, Castles and Crusades, Hyperborea, individually, none of their publishers have probably cracked $1 million in annual sales. I can't say that positively, but that would pretty much be my understanding. And I think one of the main reasons I can say that is because I've taken a look at the Kickstarters. I remember the Kickstarters. So even the Reforged edition of Castles and Crusades, which I love, which I talk about all the time. I tell people to check it out if they're looking for more modern sensibilities, but an old school vibe to a fantasy role-playing game. Mention it all the time. I've got reviews. I've got a new review on the horizon for a Castles and Crusades release. But I think the best Kickstarter they did, well, I'll tell you, the Kickstarter they did for the Reforged edition of Castles and Crusades didn't crack $200,000. And you got to realize those Kickstarter dollars that are brought in are not only to produce copies for backers. That money is also there to provide retail copies of stuff. So there is that. Same thing with like Hyperborea. Hyperborea is great. Adventure Conqueror King, the first edition, I thought was really cool. Have not had a chance to take a look at the Imperial imprint, which is like the second edition. But Swords and Wizardry, love Swords and Wizardry. I think it's really well done. But they're not going to step in and fill any sort of void that opens up in the role-playing game landscape, because those would be filled by the Dagger Hearts out there, the maybe Draw Steel. I don't know. Because the thing is, I don't think Draw Steel is available in stores, is it? I think it's direct. I could be wrong. I don't really know much about Draw Steel. I mean, okay. I know it's a fantasy role-playing game, right? It's not like I don't know anything about it. But like Nimble 5e, another game that would be more likely to step into any vacuum that would be left by the reduction of even Wizards of the Coast. So it's weird because I'll see things like this, and it almost feels like the original posters know that they're providing misleading information, or they're intentionally trying to almost, I would use the term dog whistle, but that's not exactly what I want to say, but it is kind of the meaning that I'm looking for, where it's almost like a siren call to people who share their same outlook and disdain, I guess I'll say, for the Wizards of the Coast, the Paizo Incs. Suddenly Chaosium Inc. is in the crosshairs for some of these folks. And you know, people are entitled to their own opinions. Like, you know, whatever. I get it. That's fine. I don't have issues with that. But to sit there and try to present something as being like inside information when it's obvious that there has been no research whatsoever, that this is just some opinion that's being pulled out of somebody's ass, I don't like that. I really, really don't. And to me, I just think it works against our hobby. It really does. Because our hobby is not here for one particular sort of gamer. I know there are folks out there who believe that. It's like, well, it should only be us playing. I don't. I think that as a hobby, we should be open and welcoming to everybody, because I was around when it was like, man, play role-playing games. And thankfully, I didn't really look like someone who played role-playing games, you know? So it's kind of like, oh, kind of dodging that bullet. But like I said, I'm not trying to come down on people, but it's like a sign of the times where it's sort of like, we can't just agree to disagree anymore. It's got to be, I don't agree with this, so I need to tear it down. So let's see. Let's jump into chat real quick. Wizards is not going to go broke unless Magic and Hasbro both go broke. Hasbro lost a ton of money at what was it, about 2 years ago? As far as toys went, their profits were way down as far as toys. I don't know what happened since. See, talking about Wizards of the Coast is different than Paizo Inc. And The reason why I say that is it's not surprising to see Wizards of the Coast change direction like midstream, right? So like when I was at the presentation for the press at last year's Gen Con, the direction they're now going was not the direction they talked about then. So didn't even go a year, right? So the thing is, Paizo Inc. is nowhere near the size of Wizards of the Coast. I'm not talking employee-wise, I'm just saying market share-wise. So if there's hiccups with Pathfinder, or there are hiccups with Starfinder, that they come out with a release that doesn't sell as well as they were expecting it to, which doesn't happen too often, probably. In fact, I had heard the remaster of Dark Archive sold out. And that was a reprint of a Pathfinder 2nd edition release with some tweaks. That's why it's the remaster, right? So if Pathfinder or Starfinder sales fluctuate, there's not a lot of panic, I don't see, at Paizo Inc. That it's, this is their game plan. They're going to stick with it. Now, does that mean they don't change things? Of course not. They moved away from the monthly releases in the Pathfinder Adventure Paths and the Starfinder Adventure Paths, which the reality is made sense. Because rather than going through the production costs of 4 to 6, well, I guess we'll say 3 to 6, because there were some 3-part adventure paths, especially for Starfinder. So rather than going through the production costs of 3 to 6 publications for an adventure path, you just have one. And you release it as a hardcover as opposed to a softcover. So that was a money-saving endeavor there. That decision, and I don't even think it was necessarily made like to save money. I think it was just made to be more in step with other publishers out there, because really, Paizo Inc. was the only company that was releasing month in, month out Adventure Path chapters. So if Hasbro sees dips in sales for Dungeons and Dragons, it's a much bigger deal. That's why all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, hey, guess who's now in charge of Wizards of the Coast? Oh, hey, and look, they changed who's in charge of D&D. You don't really see that as far as Paizo Inc. I think, and this is just a gut feeling, I think Paizo understands their core consumer base and they play to that, which any publisher out there would be smart to do. I think also when the person commented about the, Paizo's just online now anyway. I think what they were trying to reference is that Paizo Inc. is very well known for their virtual tabletop conversions. And as far as pretty much all of the role-playing games out there that have made their way over to various different virtual tabletops, everybody always talks about how the Pathfinder and Starfinder releases are top-notch. And a lot of times people talk about playing Pathfinder or Starfinder online with virtual tabletops because those virtual tabletops handle all the calculations and things like that, making it far easier for the players and game masters. All right, back to chat. Tessie Trekkie says, self-professed grognards make my blood boil when they go all Don Quixote about me playing pretend elf games where one of my players wants to play her character as a lesbian. It's their character. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get when people get all upset about a game of make-believe. Even if it's got some historical elements to it, it's still a game of make-believe. Like when people get all worked up about stuff that Chaosium Inc. does with Call of Cthulhu. And it's like, oh, it's not historically accurate. Well, I don't know. Is the mythos historically accurate? I don't think I recall there really being an expedition that discovered, the great old ones. W. Ford says, well, I never thought that TSR would fold, but it did. Actually, it didn't. They did get bought out by Wizards of the Coast. Part of TSR's problem, and there's a really good audiobook I listened to. Can't remember the title of it. And it's effectively kind of the history of TSR after Gary Gygax left. But TSR really got heavy into the fiction publishing aspect. And a lot of the role-playing game releases suffered because of it. So yes, Bellamere Cleaver points out, TSR didn't go broke. They sold out to Wizards. They never filed for bankruptcy. Agile Monk said, and WotC had to buy all their debts and those factored receivables. Little Britain says, I couldn't find your referral code when they bought something I reviewed on Drive-Thru RPG. You have to go through thegaminggang.com. So if you are going to go, say, Drive-Thru RPG, Storytellers Vault, whatever, go to thegaminggang.com first right now, because we do have Agile Monk's Kickstarter project as our featured ads up top. Our drive-through ad is kind of a sidebar box. But if you click that, that'll populate the affiliate code. And I should point out that affiliate code, as long as you don't clear out your cookies, stays in your computer for a week, as far as I understand. So if you visit Drive-Thru RPG, kind of hem and haw about buying something, but you used our affiliate link, as long as you don't go through anyone else's affiliate link, if you return within a week and buy it, then we still get credit for it. Witchlight says, Pathfinder First Edition outsold D&D when the Grognards rose up and actually spent money on a product. Ouch. Man, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to tear into the old school Grognards out there, because in certain ways I am one, and in other ways I am far from one, but I don't mind people being fanatically loyal to a role-playing game. It's being fanatically loyal to something and then trying to tear down everything else that's not it. Shazama85 says, I saw Draw steal several copies on the shelf at the friendly local game store. Nice. I think they have to go direct, though, is what I'm thinking. I don't know if they're available through like Alliance. So, because, there are there's board game companies out there too that don't go through distributors because they don't want to lose that cut, right? Because overhead, that margin's small, right? W. Ford says Chaosium's the only old school RPG company that stood the test of time with moderate success. It came so close to going belly up because of mismanagement. That's why for a few years there were folks who just didn't really didn't want to get on board with Chaosium Inc. as far as, if they were doing a Kickstarter or anything like that. Really, who saved Chaosium Inc. is Greg Stafford and Rick Meintz, Jeff Richard, those folks. They really came to the fore. I mean, Greg Stafford essentially stepped in and helped right the ship, so to speak. Kevin King says local gaming meetup has one guy who runs games 80s style. The other participants boycott when he's supposed to run. See, now that's stupid. I'm not, there are modern players out there too who are ridiculous about their loyalty to a certain game. Kevin R. Smith says there are a lot of good people in the OSR. Hell yeah, there are. Of course there are. Good, but you know what? Those are people who are gamers. Sometimes, like, one thing I'll see is I'll have a topic or I'll do a review of something, and suddenly someone comments and they start talking about how like Wizards of the Coast, Paizo Inc, and that they got to bring politics into everything, or whoever, right? Chaosium Inc, whatever. And it's kind of like, but nobody mentioned politics at all here till you came along. There's a lot of that too. Wishlight says, no one told Jeff that expedition really happened. Kevin R. Smith says, Slaying the Dragon. Yeah, I think that might be the name of the book. That is a possibility. And Hayeshka, probably mispronounced that. Welcome aboard. I think it might be a first-time visit in chat. I don't recognize that nickname, so welcome aboard. Said, plenty of good people and plenty of arenas. Gaming is fun. Completely agree. Gaming is meant to be fun. It's meant to be welcoming. I don't tell people who you have to have at your game table. That is completely your business. But don't try to tell me who I can have at my game table, is how I kind of look at things. Keithula said they've read it. I think they read, talking about the book. I listened to the audiobook. It was, the narrator was decent. Because that's what sucks. There's some like awesome books and the narrator is just god awful, just like Thieves' World. For those of you who recall that shared anthology, first 2 volumes are out at Audible, and the narrator is just awful. It's like, fuck. So I was like, man, I really like to listen to it. And then I listened to I saw the reviews and people were all commenting, great book, terrible reader. So I listened to the little snippet, the preview, the 5-minute preview, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't pull the trigger on this. I can't. Weird random fact, one of the most famous serial killers in the U.S. is also one of the most prolific audiobook narrators. I have no idea about that. Reading Aid is with us. Welcome. Good to see you once again. Shazama85 says, looks like Draw Steel can be ordered for stores direct from MCDM or GTS Distribution. That is one of the distributors that I used to find out what are the release dates of certain games and stuff when I can't get that information from the publisher. Funny enough, a lot of times publishers aren't real sure when their stuff's going to arrive in stores. They have an idea. They usually have the month. They don't have the day. Distributors usually have the day for me. Anywho, so I forgot to ask you the trivia question before we went to the brief intermission. Sorry about that, gang. So I do want to give away a copy of the Mutant Crawl Classics RPG bundle, which is over on Fanatical. It is 42 PDFs. So this should be a pretty quick trivia question. Giving away a copy to a live viewer. And I am also going to give away a copy to someone who watches on Memorex or maybe just watched live and didn't win. So first off, I will hit you up with the question for those watching live. So there is a default setting for Mutant Crawl Classics Adventures. What is the name of that setting? First person with the correct answer is going to win a copy of that bundle. Should also mention, you're going to have to give me a few days because I have to get the bundle from Fanatical. So just pointing that out. And of course, if you don't know the answer to the trivia question and you want to get into the running for the other copy, then simply like the video, be a subscriber to the channel, and leave a comment on the video. I am going to randomly select one of those commenters to win. Kevin R. Smith is not correct. The Empire of the East is just part of that bundle. Empire of the East is actually Dungeon Crawl Classics. I don't know. I guess they were just trying to, fill it out more. Because I think it's Empire of the East core book. And I think it's an adventure. Nope. Shazama 85's guess is incorrect. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, somebody got real close. Got real close. They're getting real close. They don't have the correct answer just yet. Oh, who's gonna find it? Who's gonna find it? I would take a guess. People are taking a look at some of the adventures and it'd be like, it says this. So, Zrodin's with us tonight says, at least it's going to go to a real fan or someone who is very good with their Google foo. Chris Lundgren's with us tonight. Welcome aboard. Bamboozle, great crowd with their guess. Also incorrect. Purple Planet is actually a once again, Dungeon Crawl Classics. Valamir Cleaver with our correct answer. It is Terra AD. Terra AD is the default setting for Mutant Crawl Classics. So not to say that some of those other like Earth AD and stuff like that may have been used with some adventures and things like that. Funny enough, Terra AD is actually right there in the sell sheet info for the bundle. So if you had taken a peek at the actual bundle itself over at Fanatical, it starts off. In fact, I knew this was going to be my trivia question, so I left it out. So the news piece actually starts, venture into the irradiated wastelands of Terra AD with the Mutant Crawl Classics RPG bundle. Says Kevin King got it first. Let's take a peek. No, Kevin King's got Earth AD. Let me go back. Oh, weird. Okay, hold on. So weirdly enough, so in chat, it's showing Earth AD like it's a translation because there's like a weird symbol by it. That's why I said Earth AD. And then sometimes in the winter had that too. And when I hover on it, it changes to Terra AD. That's weird. But then Valimir has Terra AD and it's correct. I don't know. Okay, so yes, it is Kevin King who is our winner. Thank you for pointing that out. Because me looking at chat, that's not what I get. That's bizarre. Someone got hit with the autocorrect. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. That's kind of weird. You would think it would just take it. Keith Ulla says, I've thought about running Gamma World using Mutant Crawl Classics. I prefer Gamma World's quasi-medieval setting to Mutant Crawl Classics' Neolithic setting. I would think that wouldn't be too difficult. I think that would be relatively easy in order to pull that off. All right. So, Kevin King, you know how you go about collecting your winnings. Like I said, gotta give me a few days. I got to get the bundle from Fanatical. But, so Little Britain says, you have some AI translate going on. I shouldn't. Weird. Very strange. So, anyway, hey, I'm glad we were able to clear that up. So Shazam85 says, it's not fair. They knew the answer versus us guessers. Hey, sometimes a clever guess has pulled off a win around here. So once again, if you were interested in the bundle but didn't win, pretty easy. You're already a subscriber, right? If you're in chat. So just give a like to the video and leave a nice comment. Don't be like first. I will randomly select, but sometimes if it's not a nice comment or it's just like first, those don't get added into the running. So yes, Bamboozle, great crowd. Yes, we've got that cleared up now. So yes, Hodamat is Kevin King. So in case you did not know, there are people in chat who have nicknames who I know what their names are. So anywho, all right. That is it for this time out. I think on Tuesday's show, I might share my 3 favorite starter sets. Unless something pops up. I think that's what our topic is going to be. So Kim King says, I think I already have all those PDFs. Use the bundle for another quiz later, or I can give 2 away. I can give 2 away to those of you who are watching, who wanted to get in on the contest, or those of you watching on Memorex who didn't have an opportunity to take part in the live contest. So Chris Langren says that they're looking to relaunch their YouTube channel and do a review of Bloat Games Zombies. Nice. Very cool. Well, go get it. Go get it done. Get her done. Captain Infinity Time Travel Places popping on in as I'm wrapping up. Chris Langren says it went well. Very nice. Very cool. Usually the pain in the ass is the editing. From my experience, but Zerodin says Paizo just put out a new starter set for Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remastered. Yes, I have a first look video and Sammy has reviewed it. Although in Sammy's review, she gives it a relatively low review score, but it's because of the PDF, because that's how she reviewed it, was the PDF. I'm kicking around. Maybe I'll shoot a review video for it. But I don't usually like to have 2 reviews for one item. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've got some other Paizo stuff I'll be sharing videos of as well. All right. So that is it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm sharing the news or talking about a topic. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the channel. And then, of course, when you're not watching videos on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. And if you ring the bell, make sure that you select all notifications, because supposedly YouTube is supposed to notify you whenever I stream the Dispatch Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. But it's also supposed to inform you when I share other videos, such as this weekend's upcoming Northland Sagas review from Kobold Press. And I have also heard this, and I will mention this again next week. I have heard through the grapevine that if you're subscribed to a channel and you're not receiving notifications, if you unsubscribe and resubscribe, it'll maybe fix that. I don't know positively, but I have heard from a couple of pretty popular channels out there that are completely unrelated to gaming that that is something that they're asking their subscribers to do, because the subscribers aren't getting the notifications. So we shall see. Anywho, everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching. And until I see you next time, certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.